Hey everyone, welcome to Off Meta Hearthstone. This is my first video for the channel, but I've noticed over the years that I've always created really interesting and actually usually pretty decent Hearthstone decks that, I enjoy them while the format's around, and then they never see the light of day. So I'm starting this channel to just showcase some of these awesome builds, and maybe if you don't always like playing whatever deck's at the top of the metagame, maybe we'll give you some ideas for some cool decks to play where you can still actually climb towards legend. So here we've got Miracle Druid. That's what I call it based on the old Rogue decks that used to be called Miracle Rogue. This deck is built around kind of some weird cards. Stormpike Quartermaster is definitely my favorite card from the new set, even though I haven't seen anyone else play it at all. So it rewards you for playing a lot of spells, and Druid is a class that has access to 4 fast mana cards, and then also Nature Studies, which is basically free and discovers more spells, and Resizing Pouch, which, if you want to look at zeros, there's only 5 of them in the card pool. There's Innervate, Lightning Bloom, and then the 3 bad ones are Pounce, and then Murloc, Tiny Fin, and Desk Imp. So if you run that through a calculator, you have an odds of 90% of hitting at least one of Innervate or Lightning Bloom, and then 10% of the time, you'll get a Pounce or a free minion. That's not great, but it's, this deck can put those to use. So, alright, so we've established that. So what else are we doing? Well, all of these free spells that add mana are also nature spells, so Guffer Totem is a perfect fit here. And that gives us 3 ways to sort of go off with this spell combo strategy rather than just 2. And then the other key piece here is Oracle of Elune. So in order to talk about this, let me get to these 7-drop minions up here. So Umbral Owl is extremely easy to cost 0 with this deck. We're playing tons of spells. We play multiple spells every turn. It costs 0 very early, so it's just a 4/4 rush for free. Great. Now, a new card from Fractured and Alterac Valley is Frostsaber Matriarch. Costs less for each beast you summon. So we have to summon 5 beasts to get it to cost 2 or less so that it can be copied with Oracle. But once we do that, we have 4 minions that are pretty large base stats and relevant keyword abilities for controlling the board. So basically our ideal game plan is you play Oracle, you play a Stormpike, get 2 copies of it, you spam a bunch of cheap spells, some of them add mana, some of them replace themselves with more spells, and then you buff these things in your hand. You should have just like 1 or 2 of these minions that you can copy later in your hand. They get them up to sometimes massive stats like 15/15 or bigger, and then you play it and it copies, and then you have 2 of them. So I think the best I've ever achieved in a real game that I can recall was like 2 16/16 rush and 2 like 15 stat taunts. Usually the game just ends when you go off that big, so it doesn't matter. So the rest of the deck is just like some ways to get cheap. We're prioritizing cheap nature spells and cards that produce multiple beasts to reduce the cost of Frostsaber Matriarch. And so a lot of these are obvious. We have a lot of card draw like Guess the Weight and Moonlit Guidance, which are pretty good performers. We have Vibrant Squirrel, which when you're planning to draw most of your deck provides 3 or 5 beasts for just 1 card. And it can also be copied profitably with Oracle. I've definitely had 20 Acorns in my deck before. That was a good feeling. And then Composting is just a really powerful card draw. A lot of times around the middle of the game, like let's say turn 4, you can set up a board where you cast a Composting that'll draw you like 3 or 4 cards, and that gives you plenty of fuel to really go off around turn 6 or so. And just present a board that no opponent can deal with. And then so I guess the one questionable card is Druid of the Reef here. So it transforms into a beast, so it helps with Frostsaber Matriarch, and it's just a cheap minion to go with the whole composting strategy and all that. But more so, it's important as a method of dealing with the Trog, the Iron Deep Trog, whatever it's called. That card, if you're planning to play like 90 spells, Iron Deep Trog can be a bit of a problem. So I could see not playing this permanently, but it's in the deck right now for that reason. It just contributes a little bit to each of those game plans. So if you want to read more about the individual card choices, you can read the article that's linked in the description. But for now, let's get into some games. Okay, we're queuing up for game 1 with Miracle Druid. I'm testing, there's like a 5-card package that I'm still tweaking. I originally had the Jerry Rig Carpenter package in here, but doesn't work quite as well as I thought it might, so I put in more beasts to make sure that Frostsaber Matriarch can cost 2 or less more frequently. We might do an Oracle Squirrel type of thing. Resizing pouch, so we'll have access to another coin. Let's see what we find. Well, I could just play the squirrel and get a 0. Let's do that. Oh, which one's better? Probably the lightning bloom. 90% chance to find lightning bloom or innervate off of a 0 resizing pouch. Important statistic for this deck. Okay, so let's see. Oh, interesting. I think I'll just get some turtles in play. It's a little wonky. This draw is more like a kind of a weird aggro, but if we can stick some of this board, we can get off of composting, which should put us in good shape. A lot of times, you just need to get off one medium-sized composting for like 3 or more cards, and that'll give you enough fuel to go off big around turn 6 or so. Our game plan is to play Oracle Valoon with some combination of Stormpike Quartermaster and then a bunch of free expensive minions, meaning Umbrella Owl or Frostsaber Matriarch. Alright, so they're playing like the big combo priest kind of thing. Alright, so drawing that is pretty nice. But we're really hoping he doesn't have a silence effect, obviously. Nothing we can do about that. If they have it, we'll just cry, I suppose. If they clear our whole board, we'll burn 1 card, but that's fine. We're pretty happy about that scenario. Okay, so there's like 8 acorns in the deck. We have a full hand, and we're most likely going to go off this turn. We're just looking for like 1 Stormpike Quartermaster here, and then as many coins as we can find. Actually, if we hit too many squirrels, our board will be full, and we won't want to go off. Alright, so there's actually no Stormpike Quartermasters here. So, since we have both oracles, I'm just going to... How should we do this? I want to at least copy something. I could build another composting board, but that feels like... Let's start with this. Well, I guess I should start with... So, this will summon 2, 4... So okay, now that we have another composting, I'm just gonna play one, I think. If they clear this board, we're not burning too many. I'd rather just hang on to our resources because it's not super likely they can clear all the 4 and 5 health minions. This is the kind of board where like a card, like any AoE buff would give us probably enough to kill them, but we're not really running any of those, so it's usually a 2-turn kill. But cards like Nature Studies and Resizing Pouch and Guidance can sometimes find stuff like that. But it's another consideration for running the Jerry Ray Carpenter package with the Stolas oil. The main purpose of that combo is just to have a 2-mana 2/1 that draws you 2 cheap nature spells for Guff and Stormpike Quartermaster, but sometimes just having access to that burst damage can be really key. So they've played 2 Condemns, which is, not exactly what we want to see. It looks like they're struggling. Oh, okay. Hopefully that just goes right for a 4 attack minion. Cool. Alright, so we have a big board again, do the acorns. So we're just gonna look for some AoE with 10 cards. Alright, so we'll start off with the Nature Studies, see what we find. Nothing very impressive. I'm not sure here. Maybe just another board for later. I can't really cast a composting this turn. I don't want to burn everything. But I want to cast something. Maybe I can just ditch a coin and play Guess the Weight. Just trying to be better set up to go off if they deal with this board. Oh, we burn an acorn. Burn 2 acorns. We burn 3 acorns. Okay. Alright, that's interesting. Oh. Can I get to the 10 mana? Not this turn. We're gonna burn a card. But with these 2 lightning bloom. Oh! Oh, we have 3 lightning blooms. We could have gotten to 9 mana. So that's kind of crazy, actually. We're closer to playing survival than I might have thought. Oh well. Okay. So all we need is for our minions to survive the 3 damage. So survival will actually do the trick. So here we go. 9. I mean, not that it matters, but I'll just play this with Rush. Pretty convincing win there, huh? Cool. I mean, that felt like we did a lot of stuff for just being turn 7. Like, we put out 3 giant boards, and our opponent dealt with the first one easily, the second one partially, and they couldn't handle the third one. Alright, let's play again. Alright, so game 2, we're against Paladin. Kind of a sketchy hand. Against certain classes, I might keep some of this stuff, but against Paladin, we need kind of some action earlier. So if we had some sort of early game action, I might want to keep a composting. But as it stands, I just need to... I'm going to keep the Oracle and search for some card draw. Okay. Having 2 Oracles is a little awkward, but it does mean that we can confidently go for a medium Oracle turn that sort of puts out a board to keep up with Paladin's early game. And then know that we still have... Oh, whoa! Haven't played much against Quest Paladin recently. Okay, so let's look for some guidance. I don't necessarily think I'm going to do anything next turn, so I might as well take the both of them. The Thorngrowth Sentries is perfect because it reduces the cost of that, and then Germination, I could see that being powerful later in the game, so why not? Alright. Alright, so we're just kind of biding our time here. Nothing impressive going on, but Well, we should actually be able to copy this Frost Saber on turn 5, it looks like. So we'll see if we find anything to make that more impressive by then. We're really hoping to draw something like Guess the Weight or Moonlit Guidance, or definitely Composting would be good. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so we're just going to continue pumping out beasts. Kind of an interesting draw. We resemble an aggro deck right now. I could have played Frost Saber Matriarch obviously this turn, which does look good, but I'd much rather just copy it the following turn, because otherwise we don't have much going on. Alright, Trog is actually really good against this deck. Hopefully they don't have too much to improve it right now, such that we can just kill it. It's actually the main reason Druid of the Reef is included in this deck still. We just needed a cheap, non-spell way of dealing with it. We could have also put in, you know, any of the damage spells that kill it, but it has the added benefit of being a beast that we can summon. Okay, so we can kill the Trog if we toss our whole board at it. We have the Quartermaster for a future turn with Oracle, with the second Oracle. So, yeah, I think that's just what we're gonna do. Is, well, we don't really need to play any spells. We don't have any spells to play, but I still think that the Trog is just the biggest threat to us. So, and it's too bad that this doesn't cost 1 less, so we can't use Hero Power. But, you know, that's fine. Alright, so we're very light on resources this game because we haven't drawn any of our card draw yet, but at least we're keeping pace for now. All we need to do is find a little piece. Most of our card draw is draw 2 cards or more, so often that will be good enough to find more of them. So this is an example of a game where Resizing Pouch is typically just here to get a 0, like a coin, but it might be useful as a random 5 drop, for example, if we draw next turn. Like if we discovered Arbor Up, that would be pretty solid. Let's see how far they are. They're about halfway. Drawing Umbral Owl is not bad, but it's just funny how few spells we've cast this game. I've never seen this thing cost 4 this late in the game. But I'm actually considering just playing this Thornpike here and then casting this Germination on something just to get the buffs going. The question is, what do we want to buff? Or I mean, what do we want to copy? I think the answer is an Oracle of Elune, just so, you know, more odds of its house having one stick around. But we're gonna need to draw like any spell next turn, and we're in decent shape. If we whiff, then we're not so happy. It's possible I should have cracked the Divine Shield with a Quartermaster, but honestly I'd rather just have the Quartermasters in play than the random 4/5. Because if we draw something like Nature Studies or Resizing Pouch this coming turn, we can really go off a little bit. Alright, their board is looking... alright, they got us there. Alright, so they are killing the Oracle, which actually we're not... Like, our best possible draw is going off with these Quartermasters next turn, so... Because we actually need our Umbral Owl to be at least bigger. At least 7/7. It's entirely possible we just draw something like a blank, but we'll see. Oh, can they get everything? Did I count wrong? Oh yeah, they can. I thought they were going to leave us with 1 minion, but I forgot about the weapon. Oh, it's such an abysmal draw. Alright, we're just going to wait. If we draw like a combination of spells to cast next turn, then it's actually a good draw. But we're so slow, we just skipped our entire turn 7, so not ideal. Sometimes this deck has to take weird lines, because if you just try to play the typical Hearthstone value game, you're just going to lose because we're playing a combo deck. It's not common that you skip your turn 7, but sometimes patience can turn a game that's a definite loss into a game where we have a chance later down the road. Because we can afford to eat, 8 damage this turn, that's fine. But what we're aiming to do is put out a board that has massive minions that cannot be dealt with, that win the game for us. So if we just wasted our last Oracle the previous turn, or just cast this 4/4 rush for no reason, we wouldn't really have any chance. But here we're looking for like nature studies, compost, or guess the way would be good, moonlit guidance would be good. We'll see what happens. Lightning Bloom is going to have to be good enough. We're going to have to go. So this will be a 7/7. Just not great, but it's better than we had before this turn. So I'm going to have to play aggressive here and just eat the damage, I think. But then leave that in play. It doesn't really look like we have much of a chance to win this game. We really needed some kind of spell that counted as multiple spells rather than Lightning Bloom. Because, for example, if we could trade with that 8/9, if our rush minions were 9/9 or better, it would have felt like we had more control of the board, but we're not out of this. We have plenty of live draws that will fill our hand up. Alright, so the recruits are big permanently. So we pretty much have to hit this coming turn, or else we're out of it. I mean, literally, we'll just be dead. Alright, so our whole board is on display. Notably, they don't have lethal on the board. We do another Lightning Bloom. Well, I'll give it one more turn, but I don't think it's very likely we can come back now. It would have to involve some kind of weird... I don't really think there's much that could happen. Alright, let's see what the pouch gives us. Wow, 4/12 taunt. That's like almost good enough. I honestly don't remember what all the dream cards are, so let's just see what happens with this one. Maybe it bounces that minion. Give a minion +4/+4. Return a minion. Oh wow. We're at 6. Yeah. And then you can have a bigger... Alright, so yeah. That's an L. But that was an interesting game. We were always just a little bit short on resources, so we put out a decent board, but it wasn't quite good enough. If we had a composting at any point during that, we would have been able to refuel. Alright, let's get to the next game. So I'm still trying to find the right mix of summoning beasts, having enough card draw, having enough nature spells. We're close, but those last 5 cards are in flux. Alright, so I'm only going to keep Guess the Weight. I don't like to keep Stormpike or Fast Mana. Those are more for like turn 6 kind of range. We're just looking to fill up our hand in the early turns. And of course get acorns into our deck. Like, I'm not unhappy to see coins come back to us, but I'm not going to keep them in the mulligan decision. Alright, we drew our Trog Killer. Slash 1 beast to summon. It plays well when you copy it with Oracle, so like 2/3/1 rush. Alright, so we have a lot of mana. That was good. So it looks like we'll have a decent guff draw coming up soon. So I want to prioritize turning this resizing pouch into a coin. If we draw a 2-mana spell next turn, that would be amazing. Coin Secret Passage on turn 2, interesting. I just want to point out that Rogue is probably a terrible matchup if they're playing the hero card that bounces everything. Because around the same time that we like to... oh, this is interesting. I could get my coin this turn by playing 2 1/3 taunts. I think I'll do that. I just really hope that something on this board lives so that Guff has a better chance. Alright, so as long as one of our 3 minions lives, or if the squirrel dies and we hit a squirrel, then we'll really be able to do Guff some justice here. So I potentially want to go Guff, Coin, and then Nature Studies so that we can maximize, like we can cast the highest cost spell that we discover. Like, we can cast a spell costing up to, I believe, 4. So anything that does like an AoE buff or, yeah, okay. So this is looking decent enough. Okay, we do Oracle, which is fine for a setup turn later, but we're just gonna go off and see what happens. This might not be good enough. It's like a mini Guff turn is just, oh man. I think I want to just keep filling the board at this point, and it's another nature spell, so maximum pressure, I guess. So we'll see if our opponent can deal with this. They only have 4 mana to work with. This is a pretty daunting board for a rogue on 4 mana, I think. If it was later in the game where they could just cast their hero, we would be less confident about this line, but as it stands, I think we have a good shot. And I mean, if you just take a step back and look at our mana count compared to our board, you know, it's pretty impressive, right? Alright, so they pulled off that little thing. Do we have 12 in play, right? 5, 8, 12, yeah. So they would be able to do scary things next turn, but it looks like we should get there. They're really thinking about how to deal with this whole board. Alright, maybe they can take enough damage off the table to survive. Or maybe they're just... okay. This feels like it's not good enough. Alright, well, I guess they just took a long time to figure it out. Alright, so there's a win. Nice one. Alright, let's keep playing. This deck's really fun. I like it a lot. Druid battle. Alright, so I have less experience with Thorngrowth Sentries in my deck. I had it in the deck a long time ago, and then I cut it and put it back. So I'm trying to decide if it's a keep, and I think it is. I think it's just like a solid way to gum up the board early, and its main function is really just reducing the cost of Frost Arrow Matriarch. The way this has developed with double sentries and composting in one Matriarch, I really like it. We'll just have to decide what order to do this. I think it might be turn 2 Thorngrowth, turn 3 coin Thorngrowth composting. I guess the way it's a pretty good draw, but it makes our decision tree confusing again. I think we're going to start with the play that I mentioned originally, because it just gives us a high chance of a big composting board. Like, alright, so if they deal with either of these minions, great, maybe we don't go for it. But if they're both in play, then we can guarantee a composting for 4, which feels like it should be good enough. Well, good enough to enact our game plan. We'll see which competitor emerges victorious. But I'm happy with our start. So this coming turn, we just got to play a few card draws, and then we should be set up to go off big somewhere around turn 5 or 6. I really want to experiment more with like the beast AoE buff sort of things. How much does Umbrella cost right now? I cast 2 sentries, a coin, and a composting. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this is 5. So I can't quite do everything I want. I think I'll just get guidance and play it, because I can play both copies. Oof. I like both of those, but do I want to have 5 mana next turn? I think... Oh, this is a close call. I don't think I'll have time to play the Kodo mount if we're being realistic. Okay. Arbor Up will be nice. Guidance is also a card that has gone in and out of the deck, and in the last few games it's been performing pretty well, I believe, so. Alright, so we're happy that our opponent didn't really do anything, so now we can just play an Arbor Up. Do we want to... Someone's Treants. Do we want to do anything else this turn? We could, like, Quartermaster Coin. But I think this is good enough on its own. These are going to be 3 threes. Am I going to trade? If we draw 4 cards, we'll burn 1. I can also just... yeah, I feel like Quartermaster is actually good enough, because it gets that buff, which is nice. Alright, and then I will trade just to get through some damage. Hopefully it doesn't get the 5/5. Oh, he gets 2 coins. Alright, well, that's alright. Alright, let's see what he's got. He's on 10 mana. There's such a variety of ways Druid decks can be built right now, so we don't always know exactly what they're doing, even if they're an aggro deck or a big mana deck. There's varieties within them. They're at 11 mana. They're at 13 mana. They're at 14 mana. Okay. So we have a decent amount of damage in play. So what I want to do, I don't want the squirrel to eat up buffs, but I might be fine with that. 4, 8, 12, 15. So if I start with a nature studies, I might find some AoE buff. Yeah, too bad we can't cast this. We're one short. I suppose I could discover... Oh no, I don't have 0 mana. Okay, so... I'm just gonna draw some cards. We're gonna take the turn off, kind of. I'm happy with an Umbral Owl, actually. It's actually pretty dang good. Now the question is, do I want to cast this one? I think the answer is yes. We have like a dominating looking board, but our opponent has 15 mana crystals, so I'm pretty nervous about that. We'll see what they do. I don't know if it's like an OTK deck or just summon a massive board. It could be the Celestial Alignment type of deck. The fact that they had to dig first is a good sign. They don't just have something over the top already queued up. I believe we can get through that. It's possible I should have saved these rush minions anticipating big taunts, because they could have gotten buffed. Okay, so nature studies is kind of good. I think I'll start with that. Oh, that's excellent. How many beasts do we have? Decent amount. Okay. So, let's see. Oh, I can't quite cast all of this stuff, unfortunately. I don't think. Okay, I may have screwed up a little here. Let's look for another AoE buff. No. Okay. So we need to make some trades. Well, what else am I doing? Do I want to just have composting? I know I'm going in a terrible order here, but yeah, I think I do want to draw some cards. Okay, so how do we want to deal 8? I guess like this. Okay. Oh, I mean, I must have missed lethal if it was that close. Well, no. Do I want to put out a taunt? Yes. But then... so, I just wanted to save a little bit in case we need to go off with Oracle next turn. Because now I can potentially use this rush minion to get through a bunch of taunts. But I played the 6/7 to have a bigger board. Okay, so they're getting a ton of armor. So we are going to have to potentially fight through a lot. No taunts, that's good. So 26 damage. 6, 12, 22. We have 26 exactly in place, so we might need some little help to fight lethal. Oh, did they queue it up good, or? No, okay. 6, 12, 17, 21. So Arbor Up will do it. Awesome. GG. Hope I counted right. Cool. Alright, well, that was a fun little video series. I think you get the point of the deck. I don't think I showed any like crazy combos where we had like quadruple 16/16s out, but we definitely showcased the deck. So thank you for watching, and please hit that subscribe button.